Well, certainly Boris Johnson was a friend of Ukraine, was he not? How do they feel now that he is stepping down? Vadim Prystaiko is Ambassador of Ukraine to the United Kingdom, and he is with us now. Hi, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. What would you like to say to Boris Johnson this morning?
I have to say that he was very popular. That's just to give you how popular he was. You know, Ukrainians just successfully accumulated enough money to buy a couple of drones, the Turkish-made drones, crowdfunding. The next idea to crowdfund the Prime Minister Johnson to us. Seriously.
Some might say you're welcome to him, but others might not. But is it him, or is it the fact that he was the figurehead for the British people?
Sure. You know, I was explaining to Ukrainians that Boris Johnson is not ordering some small village at the seashore to raise the Ukrainian flag, or the rest of the cabinet, or the opposition itself. You know, because that's what many people are doing, and Boris just is spearheading this effort. But as a foreign secretary, he was in Ukraine a couple of times. He knew the nation. He understands the gravity of the situation, and he managed to accumulate only to get together with this effort and bring Ukraine what we needed at the time the most.
And what was the relationship like between President Zelensky and Prime Minister Johnson?
People call it chemistry was there. So Boris, as you remember, he went to Ukraine twice. He was the first leader to come when it was really, really hot in Ukraine, in Kyiv especially. So he added this personality to the whole deal. And Ukrainians just loved his appearance and the way he was doing it, the way he was talking to our parliament. That was appreciated. I hope the next Prime Minister will be the same.
OK, what was it about Boris Johnson and President Zelensky that made them hit it off so much, to the extent where President Zelensky actually addressed the British Parliament, didn't he? And vice versa, am I right? No, certainly he did. He's actually addressed parliaments all around the world, but I think ours was one of the first.
Yes, the parliament here was the first, and I believe that it was not just this feeling of novelty, but also the special treatment Zelensky received here. He was very happy at this particular moment to address the parliament, and the same was done. Your Prime Minister was the first one to address our parliament. So the UK was always on the forefront, a bit further than everybody else. Sometimes it annoyed some of the bigger partners and helped us to get what we wanted at the time.
So are you perhaps a little disappointed as Ukrainians that Ben Wallace, the Defence Secretary, has decided not to stand?
At the same time, would like him to be where he is, because he's very instrumental there. I understand the complexity of the politics, internal politics. I understand why some future prime ministers are taking the decisions they are. But we need somebody like Ben on a place of Secretary of Defence as well.
And when you look at our internal politics here in the United Kingdom, and you see that 11 people are suddenly running to be Prime Minister, potentially 12 by lunchtime today, does it give you a wry smile?
Not really. What it gives me, it's all the ambassadors were excited to follow the news, to debate who will be next. What it gives us also that the system is very different. In our case, presidents set for some time. They make mistakes, they make great moves, but at least they know how long they will be in position. In yours, the situation is much more fluent.
You have a lot of female politicians, don't you, in Ukraine? They tend to get the job done.
They're trying their best as males as well. And we have a very new parliament. And don't forget that our parliament was an idea of Zelensky that none of these people were MPs before. This is social experiment, I would call it. So they brought the youth, the enthusiasm, and they lack in some of the experience. What
sort of guidance and advice might you offer those that would be Prime Minister coming from a Ukrainian perspective?
Our perspective, Ukrainian, is to have maximum of the support. At the same time, we understand how important it is to explain to your own people why you're doing that. It's not because you're a personality, not because you're calling Zelensky each and every second day and you have this, understanding, but you have to explain why you have to sacrifice something, why the prices are growing up. Maybe it's not because, why the hunger in the world. It's not because war in Ukraine, because Russia came to make this war in Ukraine. So there is some explanation is needed. And when people know and take the informed decision, that's what we expect from UK at least.
Talk to me about the situation in Ukraine at the moment, both as far as the war is concerned, ongoing war, and also the desperate attempts to try to get the grain out of Ukraine to feed the world.
The grain is difficult part because it's time sensitive. We're feeding at least 400 million people around the globe, not just us. At the same time, we don't want to be seen somebody who's producing something very valuable commodity which can be taken out of us. It's still part of our economy. It's still part of our survival. When we ask for assistance, we also wanted to buy our future in a decent way, like everybody around the world. There is at least 23 million of the grains, tons of the grains in the southern ports of Ukraine. And the problem is that the new harvest is coming. It will be on the level 60, 70 million tons. We don't have anywhere to put it. So, instead of wasting it, we have to understand how we can use it, all of us together.
I read that it takes 2 years to take a year's worth of grain out via land. So you need Odessa to be a functioning port. How are you going to do that?
To put it in perspective, I had a very nice lady, businesswoman, came to us and told us she has 18 trucks to help Ukraine with the effort. And I told you we need 4 or 5 million trucks to have the job done. So it was a very good attempt, but it's not helping. We have to have ships to be able to do so. What we managed already to achieve when we freed this Snake Island, so-called, which was staying just in front of our ports.
We remember it well, and the young man that let the Russians know what he thought about them.
Yeah, I know, they are not happy, but we are happy when they are not. So it allows us to, to start creating this corridor, protected one, for the ships go all the way to at least to the Romanian port, deep port of Constanța, where we can start exporting things. But everything is very expensive to do this way. It's a different way than they used to do.
What you could do is start to remove the mines from the Black Sea there on the port of Odessa and allow the ships to come in. But that is a dangerous game for you guys.
Sure. We have to be sure that they're not coming through the same safe channel, which will create demining it. And Russians also mined the half of the sea. Now, when we're receiving more and more anti-ship rockets, which allows us not just sink the ships, but repel them from the Ukrainian shores, that would allow us to open up the seas. But at the same time, as we speak, we're also using the rails, the trains, the trucks, everything we can to let the grains on the world markets.
Do you think this tens of millions of tons of grain that's about to be harvested will go to waste?
Hopefully not this time, because we are more prepared, but we don't have the silos to put them in the first place, even before we were able to ship them out. And naturally, because of the war, the size of our harvest will be shorter, because the land is, is reduced. This is the outcomes of the war, one of those.
And as far as the war is concerned, we're led to believe that Russia is winning the war at the moment. Would you agree?
We're not saying that they're winning, they're pushing with lots of people, lots of armor, but when we receive this long-reaching artillery and rockets, this is the change in the tide. We have to survive a couple of more months to be able to have more people. For example, we're training here almost 10,000 of Ukrainian troopers.
Here,
that's what we need.
Yeah, in the UK,
yes,
yeah.
in the
indeed.
UK.
What do you want the next British Prime Minister to do as soon as they take office?
I understand there will be different persons. There is no doubt about that. And the Ukrainians also fear that there will be change in the policy towards Ukraine. At the same time, I expect some continuity.
I'm not sure that will be the case, but
we will see how it will be done. Some of the moves of the Prime Minister were quite unorthodox at that time when he started this. We hope that this is more planned sort of stage, when we know what we need, we know where is it, we know what we have to do, and we have to do together.
Okay. And you won't tell me who you want to be the next Prime Minister?
No.
I didn't think so. It's good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you.